granted us another chance to come closer to the fiqh and the knowledge of fiqh. And alhamdulillah, we get to know that every Thursday we used to have that session for the fiqh course. And alhamdulillah, the main idea for that is to get or to be exposed to the new era of the knowledge and to cover new areas in our Islamic knowledge. And the main point here is to know the difference between the differences between the schools of thought in Islamic history. And alhamdulillah, we give introduction and then we give you a little background about what are usulul fiqh, the fundamentals of the fiqh, and how the Islamic ruling can be extracted in the fiqh itself. And we give the sources of the Islamic legislation. And we talked about the Islamic jurisprudence. What are the main sources for the Islamic jurisprudence? And we spoke before about, alhamdulillah, about these sources like Quran and Sunnah or the qiyas or the consensus of the Imams. We also spoke about, give a good background about how the madhahib appeared and what happened historically. And then we talked about, we have different madhahib, we have bunch of madhahib in the Islamic history, but all those that we are stick with are the four madhab. And we mentioned that the oldest madhab amongst those four madhahib is the Hanafi madhab. And when we talk about the Hanafi madhab, means it's related to Imam Abu Hanifa, the great scholar. And then alhamdulillah, last time we ended up by having this background about all the Imams, the four Imams, alhamdulillah, when the Imam was born, when did he die, when the other Imam was born, when the other Imam died. And today, inshallah, specifically, we will talk about the great Imam Abu Hanifa an-Nu'man. So inshallah, we will enjoy our lecture and our time to know more about our Imam Abu Hanifa. And let me tell you clearly, when you study the biography of Imam Abu Hanifa, not only Imam Abu Hanifa actually, all the Imams, even beyond the four Imams, when we talk about Al-Awza'i, Imam Al-Layth, Ibn Sa'd, when we talk about the great Imam Sufyan ibn Uyayna, when we talk about the Imams Abdullah ibn Mubarak, when we talk about all those names, we are talking about the mountains of knowledge. And they are, have a big and solid mark in our Islamic history in terms of knowledge. They enriched, and without them, lots of knowledge couldn't come to us. They transferred the knowledge in such an amazing way, in such a profound way, that helped us to have a good background, and they facilitated that knowledge. You see, you have the library here in the masjid, you have lots of books. If you searched on Islamic books just on PDF, you can print down lots of these books. How that knowledge was transmitted to us, except by those people, by the efforts of the knowledgeable people, those who had the fiqh knowledge, and without them, lots of issues we couldn't solve. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower all of them with his mercy, ya Rabbal Alameen. So each and every one has his own contribution in our Islamic knowledge. And I told you last time, wanted to examine your memory. We said that each and every one has something he was good at. So for example, when we talk about Imam Abu Hanifa, what made his mazhab so special? He depended on rational way of thinking. Yes, and he has that congregational opinion from the assembly that he used to have in his masjid. Beside that, he also was good at arguments, giving you the rational opinion. And the reason for that, the main reason for that, it has many reasons, of course, the way of that he was grew up, the way, and also the political issues that he had during his time too. And not only this, because the hadith, the number of the hadith that reached Imam Abu Hanifa wasn't that much at that time, because the hadith basically was in Medina, and he lived in Kufa in Iraq. And we get to know, inshallah, today lots about Imam Abu Hanifa. And inshallah, I think today will not be enough just for Imam Abu Hanifa. We might have another time, inshallah, to talk about his life and his contribution. But let's move on. We talked about Imam Malik, that he was good at hadith, and he collected how many hadith? We mentioned the number. No, we mentioned almost like 6,000 hadith. That was at the time of Imam Malik. Then Imam Shafi'i, he was also great at the hadith and how to extract the evidence from the hadith. And the one who was the most in the knowledge of hadith was Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal. He collected 30,000 hadith, and we explained how that number was so high, because it's the ways of transmitting the hadith. He collected all of them. So who is Imam Abu Hanifa? And that question is so important. Imam Abu Hanifa, because we have lots of people, they following the madhab without knowing anything about Imam Abu Hanifa. Even his name. You know what his name was? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, MashaAllah. An-Nu'man ibn Thabit ibn Zota ibn Mirziban. So that's his full name. An-Nu'man, that's his original name, An-Nu'man. His father was Thabit, and his grandfather was Zota, and his grandfather was Mirziban. An-Nu'man ibn Thabit ibn Zota ibn Mirziban. Some narration differed between Zota and Mirziban. They said both of them, like the one person. They said Nu'man ibn Thabit ibn Mirziban, and they said Mirziban, the nickname for Mirziban was Zota. I just wanted to give you a background about the place before the coming of Imam Abu Hanifa, so you are aware of what was going at that time. So what's his original, place? The original place for his grandfather. Do you know? Some people said he came from Afghanistan. He was Afghani. And some of them said that he was Arabian. And they had kind of discussion between the scholars. They ended up and gave us the conclusion that he was Arabian. That's his original. That's his grandfather was originally from an Arabian land. Then they came to Kufa, and his father Thabit established his life, and he got married at Kufa. But what was Kufa before that? You know, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after the death of Rasulullah, then we had the Khalifa Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh. Then at the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, they conquered al-Iraq. They conquered al-Kufa. And al-Kufa at that time was under the rule of the Roman Empire. And that was at the year of 636. 636. And of course, it is AD. So what happened? He conquered al-Kufa and Basra and Baghdad, and he, settled the Islamic ruling in these lands. After the battle, it's a very famous battle. It is called the Battle of Al-Yarmouk. Al-Yarmouk. After the Battle of Al-Yarmouk, they conquered Al-Kufa and Al-Basra and Baghdad and parts of Sham. So that is, we are talking now about 3 major cities in Iraq: Al-Basra, Baghdad, and Al-Kufa. Imam Abu Hanifa was born in Al-Kufa. But what was Al-Kufa before Abu Hanifa comes? We need to have like a background about how was the situation over there. When Sayyiduna Umar ibn Khattab was the Khalifa, he sent first a judge, and he was kind of a governor, a ruler over Al-Kufa and this area. And what was the name of that Sahabi? Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. And who is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas? Do you know his title? The uncle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Hada khali, falyurini mru'un khala." He was the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. And Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas was one of those who were promised Jannah. Was one of the 10 who promised Jannah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam pointed at him and he said, "Ya Sa'd, you will be in Jannah." He got the certificate from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But one of the things I need you to know about the people of Kufa, not only Kufa, people of Iraq generally, at that time, they were so tough, so hard. No one can control them. They weren't easygoing. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, the great companion, was the governor, and they used to complain Sa'd to Umar ibn Khattab, and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas used to complain them to Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu. And if we had time, I can give you lots of stories about how did they complain and what happened. And subhanAllah, one of people complained Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and one of the things I need you to know about Sa'd, that his dua was answered. His dua always was answered. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one day Sa'd came to him and he said, "Ya Rasulullah, ud'u Allah an akuna mustajab ad-da'wa." Make dua to Allah that my dua will be answered. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ya Sa'd, atib mat'amaka takum mustajab ad-da'wa." Get food from halal source, then your dua will be answered. So this is one of the things that I don't want to take too much time by explaining about Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, but let me go to the point. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, after spending time with the people of Iraq, and they complained and he complained about them, they gave him hard time, actually. So after the investigation of Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, he used to find often that Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas was innocent. After the investigation for each and every case, he was always innocent. And then he sent another person to them, and also they gave him hard time. The people of Al-Kufa and Baghdad and Basra. And then finally, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab decided to send one of the people that we have, they have something special in our hearts. Once you hear his name, Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was famous of reciting Quran and teaching Quran. And you know Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, one of the greatest of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he sent him with a letter to the people of Al-Kufa. And you know what? It wasn't so easy for Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab to get that decision done, that he will send Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud will leave Al-Madinah and travel to Kufa. That was so difficult decision for Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab to take. And you know what he wrote in the letter? He said, لَقَدْ آثَرْتُكُمْ بِعَبْدِ اللَّهِ ibn Mas'ud عَلَى نَفْسِي وَعَلَى أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ. I have preferred you over myself and over the people of Al-Madinah by sending Abdullah ibn Mas'ud to you. But you know, guys, that is the last thing I can do with you. If you still give him hard time, that means there is no room for you. I would be sure that you're having something wrong. You're having something wrong, because that is the best. That is the best that I have, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And subhanallah, from that time, those people have changed it completely. From that time, Al-Kufa and Baghdad and Al-Basra became the center of Quranic knowledge. That tells you, maybe by one person, Allah changes and transforms the entire community, the entire city, because of one person. They loved him. They took the knowledge from him. He started to have circles of knowledge and teaching people Quran, Tajweed. He taught lots of people in Al-Kufa and Al-Madinah. And you know how many narrations of recitation we have for the Quran? How many? 7. And if you added the extra, it would reach to 10. 10 narrations of recitation we have for the Quran. 5 of them were taken from Al-Kufa and Al-Basra and Baghdad. 5 of them. And the Kufa itself became the center of knowledge. Now we have Al-Madinah, then Al-Kufa in Iraq, and what's the third place? What is the third place? Huh? We mentioned Baghdad. I mean, Baghdad and Al-Kufa is one place. Mecca and Medina, we can consider one place. Egypt, Cairo at that time, that was the center of knowledge too. That's why we will get to know how the madhab al-Hanafi has spread in Egypt too. And it has lots of students over there. We will get to know about Imam Shafi'i in the middle of Cairo. You will get to know they have their own way of teaching and circles of knowledge. But let me tell you what happened. So from that time, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud started to spread the knowledge. And after a long time, after the time of Umayyi, after the time, as you know, that Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, after the time of Umar ibn Khattab, we had Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, and Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan started to move the capital of the Khalifa. Before it was in Al-Madinah, but because of the political arguments, he wanted to keep Al-Madinah safe. That's why he moved the capital of Khalifa to be where? In Al-Kufa. To be in Al-Kufa. And then after that time, Uthman ibn Affan was assassinated. He was killed. Then Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib took over for how many years? Almost 5 years. And he was also in Al-Kufa. So the last 5 years of the life of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib was in Al-Kufa. At that time, it has lots of political, ideologies started to appear in Al-Kufa. It was the center. It was the capital of the political arguments. Then after the assassination of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Khalifa went to his son, Al-Hassan, but it didn't last or didn't stay for a long time. After that time, it moved to whom? To Sayyidina Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. And after Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, no, Muawiyah first. Yes, but Muawiyah first, after Ali ibn Abi, after Al-Hassan, and then he moved the capital of the Khalifa to be in Damascus, in Damascus, in Syria. So Damascus became the capital of the Khalifa, the center that he governs the entire Ummah from that place. At that time, the Umayyi, like governors, they started to appear. And from that time, you have Yazid ibn Muawiyah, and Yazid ibn Muawiyah at that time started to take over after Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiallahu anhu. Sayyiduna or Al-Imam Abu Hanifa Al-Nu'man or Al-Nu'man ibn Thabit, that's his name. His father, Thabit, he was born at that time, after the time of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. And they had many ideologies, political ideologies in the city. And subhanallah, Thabit was a merchandise, was a trader. In the Arabic language, he was khazzaz. Khazzaz. What's the meaning of khazzaz? Khazzaz, he was the trader. He used to sell and buy silk. He was a silk trader. He used to sell garments, clothes. And he was so famous of his honest and his trustworthy, as a trustworthy person. He was so honest, and he didn't accept anything to take except halal. That's why old people at his time, they said that he was famous of two concepts: the halal earning and the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was so pious. We are talking about Thabit, the father of Imam Abu Hanifa. So Thabit, just wanted to tell you the story. How did he got married? How did he got married? How Thabit met the mother of Imam Abu Hanifa. Do you know the story? If you know the story, just raise your hand. One. MashaAllah. Two. Okay. So how many people we have here? MashaAllah. So if you know the story, just raise your hand. Okay. MashaAllah. We are waiting. I think someone is raising his hand. I cannot see. But anyhow, let's move to the point here. When he met Thabit, how did he meet his mother, the mother of Abu Hanifa? One day, he was walking and he saw the tree of the fruits. It was apple tree. Yes, and there was some apples like coming out of the fence. So he stretched his hand and he got one apple. Then he ate the apple. Now the apple is halal or haram? He didn't get permission, okay, of the owner of the garden. So after he ate the apple, he started to think, he said, now I ate something haram. I didn't get the permission of the owner. He went to the place, the garden, and he knocked the door, and the man came out and he said, I am the owner of the garden. What do you want? He said, sir, look, I ate the apple and it is haram. I want you to forgive me. Can you please forgive me? He said, I will forgive you just with one condition. Yes, to marry my daughter. But my daughter is deaf. She cannot hear. She is mute. She cannot talk. And she is blind. So now he is in trouble. So now he is in trouble. He will not forgive him except if he married his daughter. So he said, just can you give me time so I can think about your proposal? He went home. He stayed the whole night thinking about that offer. But he came the other day to him. I said, if there is no way that you will forgive me except by doing this, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. I have no other option. But can you just pause here a little bit? For one apple, but that was a sin. Just think about it. If you put yourself in his shoes, you would say, you know what? If you didn't forgive me, no problem. I don't care. No problem. That's it. At least I tried. You know? But that man wanted the person to forgive him. He does not want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is sinful. So he said, if that is the case, I will marry your daughter. Without seeing her, he made the nikah, and he wasn't at that time to go to the court and no, by having the Islamic marriage. So they give the Islamic marriage, and he gave the mahar, and they fulfilled all the requirements. And at the first night, he went and he entered the room, and without looking, he was lowering his gaze. That's Thabit, that's the father of Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Hanifa. He said, Assalamu alaikum, just because he entered the room. And she responded. He said, his father said, she is mute. She said, Wa alaykum assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He raised his eyesight, and he looked at her. She is very beautiful. She is so charming. She is so beautiful, mashallah. And he said, now you can you speak? She said, yes. He said, but your father, he said, you are deaf, you are mute, you are blind. She said, yeah, he is right. I am deaf from hearing anything haram. I'm mute from talking anything haram. I'm blind from looking to anything haram. That's how my dad described me. And both of them had very good life together. And now you can see the man who has taqwa married the woman who has taqwa. So that marriage, what did they bring for our ummah? Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa. That's why when we talk with you as parents about how to choose to your children, how to raise them up, which girl that your son need to marry, not the most beautiful one, but search first for the deen, for the deen. And as our ulama, as our scholars had described for us, that deen, we can call deen as one, number one. So if she had deen, put number one. And if she has the money, the wealth, put 0. So that would be 10. If she had the good lineage, put another 0. That's 100. If she has the beauty, put another 0. That would be 1,000. Now, if you removed the deen number, which is 1, so what will you get at the end? 3 zeros, not only 1 0. So you will get 3 zeros. That's useless, that worthless. So pay attention for that equation. If you wanted your son to get happiness in his life, if you want your son to get a stability and to get the righteous woman, let him stick first with the deen. If he got the deen, he will get everything after this. So that is Thabit. And you know, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa was born at which year? Which year of Hijrah? The 80th year of Hijrah. That's the year number 80. No, 80. Just 80. And he died at 150. So he lived 70 years. That's Imam Abu Hanifa. So Allah granted them Thabit and his wife. Allah granted them An-Nu'man ibn Thabit. That is Imam Abu Hanifa. And he was raised up in such a beautiful way. And his dad taught him the deen. And he raised him up in the masajid, in learning, getting closer to the scholars of knowledge, sitting in circles of knowledge like this one. And subhanallah, at that time, An-Nu'man, Imam Abu Hanifa, was helping his dad in his trade, in, in his commercial thing, in selling, buying clothes. And you know what? He got the experience. At that time, his age was almost like 20. And he was so skillful, was so intelligent. And when his dad noticed this, and of course, when he was young, his dad took him to a sheikh to memorize Quran. So he memorized Quran in early age. And when he reached to that age, like 20, 22, his dad noticed that he was so skillful and intelligent. He was so smart. He said, why do you spend most of your time with me, helping me? Why not you go to the circles of knowledge to take the knowledge? Then he started to join his sheikh. What's the name of his sheikh? What's the name of the sheikh of Imam Abu Hanifa? That sheikh, he stayed with him 18 years. 18 years. He stayed with that sheikh for 18 years. That sheikh, his name is Hamad. Hamad. That is his sheikh. He stayed with him, taking the knowledge of fiqh for 18 years. Can you imagine? 18 years taking the knowledge of fiqh. Nowadays, you might have a person is watching, 20 minutes on YouTube, then he assigns himself as Mufti, mashallah. 20 minutes on YouTube, behind the screen, without sitting in circles, taking the knowledge from Sheikh, and he considers himself as Mufti to say, this is halal, this is haram. And he keep criticizing Imams and Sheikhs. Subhanallah. That is something, wallahi, we need to think about. And I just wanted to tell you something about his Sheikh Hamad. He was so pious person. He stayed from 22 to age 40 years old with the same Sheikh Hamad. And by the way, what's the name of the son of Imam Abu Hanifa? What's the name of his son? The son of Imam Abu Hanifa is also Hamad. He gave him the name of his Sheikh. So the Sheikh is Hamad and his son also is Hamad. Okay? So we have our brother Abdul Basit. His son is Hamdan. Okay? It's close root to the same name. So Hamad, that's the Sheikh, and his son also is Hamad. Okay, what's the meaning of Hamad? Hamad. Huh? The one who is in a constant state of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that comes from hamd. And you start your salah by alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. So that's the name. Hamad means in a constant state of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he stayed that long time, 18 years. But there is a good story about his Sheikh Hamad. After Imam Abu Hanifa spent like almost 12 years, he said that, he narrated, he said that. He said, after 12 years, I said to myself, why not I take my own halaqah to be to be sheikh by myself? Why I stay with Imam Hamad that long time? I need to have my own halaqah, my own students. At that time, Imam Hamad, his sheikh, wanted to do Hajj. So he traveled. It took like more than 4 months to go for Hajj and come back. So he assigned Imam Abu Hanifa to take over and to sit, instead of him, to give the fatwa. He said to himself, that's my chance to prove to myself that I am so qualified, so I can take over and I will have my own halaqah when he comes back. So he started to give fatwa during the absence of his sheikh. He gave the fatwa for how many cases? For 60 cases. 60 cases. And he wrote all the 60 cases. And when his sheikh came back, he offered and he told him about the 60 cases. You know what? To correct him. That was his assignment. That was his homework. You know, he accepted 40 cases. And he said, you was wrong in 20 cases. Imam Abu Hanifa, after 12 years, his sheikh told him that you was wrong in 20 cases. Allahu Akbar. Look at this. From that time, Imam Abu Hanifa swore. He said, I swear by Allah that I will never have my own halaqah, my own dars, except after the death of my sheikh. I will stay under his feet, take his knowledge till he dies. Then he continued, we said 12 years, then he continued more, 6 years. So he completed 18 years till his Sheikh Hamad had died. And after this, he took over and he became the Sheikh of this circle, of this halaqah. That's how Imam Abu Hanifa started to give his knowledge. Now, what about his age? His age now, 40 years old. That means he became and he took over as the sheikh, as the ustaz, as the imam, the formal imam in the masjid of Al-Kufa, teaching his students for how long? For 30 years. 30 years. He developed his madhab. He had his students. And who is the famous student ever for Imam Abu Hanifa? Al-Qadi Abu Yusuf, the judge Abu Yusuf. So Abu Yusuf, that was his closest student for him. The one who took almost 99% of the knowledge of Imam Abu Hanifa and he wrote it down. That is Al-Qadi. Why we say Al-Qadi? Because he became a judge afterwards. And not only this, all the judges after the time of Abu Hanifa and during the time of Abu Yusuf, the one who used to choose them, Abu Yusuf. So all the judges in this area, in Baghdad, in Al-Basra, in Al-Kufa, were chosen by Abu Yusuf. Al-Qadi Abu Yusuf, that is his title. I will stop here till that point, but inshallah we are going to know more about the life of Imam Abu Hanifa, and we will talk about how many wives he had, how many children that he had, and not only this, what is his method, his technique in extracting the Islamic rule. And by the way, Imam Abu Hanifa was arrested 2 times, and he was taken to the jail 2 times during his life. One of them, he was able to flee to Mecca, to spend time in Mecca, and to be exposed to the knowledge of hadith and the knowledge of students of Abdullah ibn Abbas. We are going to know more, inshallah, about his journey in knowledge. Inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us time and give us chance, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extended our life for more time so we can know more about Imam Abu Hanifa, inshallah. I hope you enjoyed his biography. I hope you enjoyed knowing more about Imam Abu Hanifa. We need to know about our scholars, our madhahib, to understand how those people struggled a lot to bring Islam for us on a golden plate. And subhanallah, I can tell you, we have a lot of Muslims, they do not appreciate those people. They got Islam on a golden plate, ready, easy. Subhanallah. Inshallah, also I will tell you about the characteristics of Imam Abu Hanifa, how he was so pious. He was following halal and the haram. He was the man who used to spend the night to pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In some narrations, wallahi, one of his wives said, منذ أن تزوجت, since I married Imam Abu Hanifa, I never saw him slept at night. She said that. She never saw him slept at night. Some narrations said he used to pray Fajr. Listen, he used to pray Fajr with the same wudu of al-Isha. That means he is awake the entire night. Since he prayed Isha, he used to stand at the night, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala till the time of Fajr. That's Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa used to recite the entire Quran during the night time. The whole Quran in one night. And you could ask, how come 4 people? What we know in our history, that we have 4 people used to do that way, that method. One of them, Imam Abu Hanifa. Sayyiduna Uthman ibn Affan used to recite the whole Quran in one rak'ah, which is rak'atul witri, in the last rak'ah. Just think about it. A narration said that he used to sleep, Imam Abu Hanifa used to sleep in the summertime from Dhuhr time till Asr time. That's his time to sleep. And the rest of his day, serving his community, teaching people, writing down all the affairs related to the fiqh knowledge. And the night time, that's for his Rabb, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he made the daytime for people and the night time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That tells you, inshallah, we have a lot to say. It was just introduction about his life, the background, how he was, how about his parents. Inshallah, next time we have a lot to say about Imam Abu Hanifa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower him with his mercy. Allahumma ameen. Rahmatullahi alayk. Rahmatullahi alayk. Abu Hanifa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower you with his mercy. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our time for his sake. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan, Sister Aisha, Sister Shaliza, Brother Fazl, Bibi Jamir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't need to thank me, but I really thank you all for sharing your time, your precious time, and giving me time to listen to the lecture. That's an honor and my pleasure to spend the time with you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.